Setting clear boundaries is one of the most powerful yet quiet ways to teach people your worth. Many individuals struggle with boundaries because they fear disappointing others, being misunderstood, or appearing rude. However, boundaries are not walls meant to push people away. They are healthy limits that protect your emotional well-being, time, energy, and personal values. When you establish boundaries, you are not controlling others. You are defining how you allow yourself to be treated. People learn how to treat you based on what you consistently allow. If you constantly say yes when you feel exhausted, agree when you feel uncomfortable, or tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict, others may unknowingly assume that your needs are secondary. Over time, this creates imbalance in relationships where your kindness becomes expectation rather than appreciation. Boundaries quietly correct this imbalance by communicating self-respect without confrontation or aggression. One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they require harsh words or dramatic actions. In reality, boundaries are often calm, simple decisions. It can be choosing not to respond immediately to every message, declining invitations when you need rest, or refusing to engage in conversations that drain your peace. These small actions send a clear signal. Your time and emotional energy matter. Setting boundaries begins with self-awareness. You must first recognize what makes you feel uncomfortable, overwhelmed, or undervalued. Many people ignore these internal signals because they have been conditioned to prioritize others first. Yet discomfort is often a message that a boundary is needed. When you listen to yourself honestly, you begin to understand where limits should exist. Respectful communication plays a key role in maintaining boundaries. You do not need lengthy explanations or apologies for protecting your well-being. Simple statements such as, "I can't commit to this right now," or "I'm not comfortable with that," are enough. Over-explaining often comes from guilt, but healthy boundaries do not require justification. The calmer and clearer you are, the more seriously people take your words. At first, some individuals may resist your boundaries, especially if they were used to unlimited access to your time or attention. This reaction does not mean your boundaries are wrong. It simply reveals that the dynamic is changing. When you remain consistent, people gradually adjust their expectations and begin to respect your limits. Consistency is what transforms boundaries from temporary reactions into lasting standards. Boundaries also protect emotional health. Without them, resentment quietly grows. You may find yourself feeling unappreciated, drained, or taken for granted. This happens because you are giving more than you can sustain. Healthy boundaries prevent burnout by ensuring that your kindness comes from genuine willingness rather than obligation. When you give freely instead of reluctantly, relationships become healthier and more sincere. Another important aspect of boundaries is learning to say no without guilt. Many people associate refusal with selfishness, but saying no is often an act of honesty. Agreeing to something while feeling stressed or unwilling ultimately harms both parties. A respectful no preserves integrity and prevents hidden frustration. Over time, others learn that your yes carries real value because it is not given carelessly. Boundaries also influence self-confidence. Each time you honor your limits, you reinforce a sense of self-worth within yourself. You begin to trust your own decisions and feelings. This internal confidence naturally changes how others perceive you. People tend to respect those who respect themselves, not because they demand it loudly, but because their actions demonstrate clarity and stability. Healthy boundaries encourage mutual respect rather than control. They allow relationships to exist without pressure or resentment. When expectations are clear, misunderstandings decrease and interactions become more peaceful. Instead of feeling obligated to please everyone, you create space for genuine connection with people who appreciate you as you are. It is also important to understand that boundaries are flexible, not rigid. Different relationships require different limits. What you allow with close family may differ from workplace expectations or casual friendships. The goal is not isolation but balance, knowing when to give and when to step back. Adjusting boundaries as life evolves shows emotional maturity and self-understanding. Many people fear that setting boundaries will cause others to leave. In reality, boundaries often reveal which relationships are healthy. Those who value you will respect your limits, while those who benefited from your lack of boundaries may distance themselves. This process, although uncomfortable, creates space for healthier connections built on respect rather than convenience. Over time, boundaries become less about protecting yourself from others and more about living in alignment with your values. You stop seeking approval through constant availability and begin choosing interactions intentionally. Your presence becomes more meaningful because it is offered with awareness and choice rather than pressure or fear. When you consistently honor your own limits, you send a quiet but powerful message to the world without raising your voice or demanding recognition. You demonstrate that your peace, time, and emotional well-being are valuable. People begin to recognize that access to you is a privilege, not an entitlement. And your worth becomes understood through your actions rather than your words. Keeping your word is one of the strongest silent indicators of personal value and character. In a world where promises are often made casually and forgotten quickly, consistency stands out. When your actions consistently match what you say, people begin to associate you with reliability, honesty, and integrity. You do not need to remind others of your worth because your behavior communicates it naturally. Every promise you make, whether small or significant, becomes a reflection of your character. Showing up when you say you will, completing tasks you agreed to handle, and honoring commitments demonstrate respect not only for others but also for yourself. Reliability builds trust over time, and trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. Without trust, respect struggles to exist. Many people underestimate the importance of small commitments. Returning a call, arriving on time, meeting deadlines, or following through on simple responsibilities may seem minor, yet these actions shape how others perceive you. Consistency in small matters signals discipline and sincerity. When people notice that you keep even the smallest promises, they naturally believe you will handle larger responsibilities with the same seriousness. Keeping your word also requires honesty about your limitations. One of the main reasons people fail to follow through is overcommitting. The desire to please everyone often leads individuals to say yes too quickly. While the intention may be kind, repeated broken promises slowly weaken credibility. Learning to commit only when you are truly able protects both your reputation and your peace of mind. There is strength in thoughtful commitment. Therefore, agreeing to something, taking a moment to evaluate your time, energy, and priorities allows you to respond responsibly. Saying, "Let me check and get back to you," reflects maturity rather than hesitation. It shows that your words are deliberate and meaningful rather than impulsive. Integrity means your behavior remains consistent even when no one is watching. Keeping your word privately is just as important as doing so publicly. Completing work honestly, fulfilling responsibilities without reminders, and maintaining principles when recognition is absent build inner confidence. This quiet discipline shapes self-respect, which naturally influences how others treat you. People feel safe around individuals who keep their word. Reliability creates emotional security because others know they can depend on you. Whether in friendships, family relationships, or professional environments, consistency reduces uncertainty. When people trust that you will do what you say, communication becomes smoother and cooperation becomes easier. Keeping your word also strengthens personal confidence. Each fulfilled commitment reinforces the belief that you are capable and dependable. This internal trust transforms the way you carry yourself. You speak with clarity, make decisions with confidence, and approach responsibilities with calm assurance because you have proven reliability to yourself repeatedly. At times, circumstances change and fulfilling a promise becomes difficult or impossible. Integrity is not about perfection, but accountability. When unexpected situations arise, honest communication matters. Informing others early, apologizing sincerely, and taking responsibility show respect. People are often understanding when they see genuine effort and transparency. Consistency over time is what builds reputation. Anyone can be dependable occasionally, but true character is revealed through patterns. When people observe long-term reliability, they begin to value your presence more deeply. Opportunities often come to those who demonstrate steady commitment because trust reduces risk for others. Keeping your word also reflects self-discipline. It requires managing distractions, honoring priorities, and resisting the temptation to abandon commitments when motivation fades. Discipline transforms intention into action. While motivation fluctuates, disciplined individuals continue fulfilling responsibilities because their values guide them rather than temporary feelings. Another important aspect is aligning words with actions emotionally as well as practically. Being supportive, offering help, or expressing care should be followed by genuine effort. Empty reassurance loses meaning when not supported by action. Authenticity grows when kindness is demonstrated through consistent behavior rather than occasional gestures. People quietly observe consistency more than grand achievements. Loud promises may attract attention briefly, but steady reliability earns lasting respect. Over time, others begin to rely on your presence because it represents stability. This silent reputation becomes one of your greatest strengths, opening doors and strengthening connections without self-promotion. Keeping your word also teaches others how to interact with you. When you honor commitments, people recognize that your agreements carry weight. They learn to approach you with seriousness and respect because your standards are clear. This creates healthier interactions where expectations are mutual and communication remains honest. Integrity often requires sacrifice. There may be moments when fulfilling a promise demands extra effort, patience, or inconvenience. Choosing to follow through despite difficulty reinforces strong character. These moments, though unseen by Na shape how you view yourself and strengthen your inner values. Over time, consistent reliability transforms into personal credibility. Your words begin to carry influence because people know they are backed by action. You no longer need to convince others of your intentions. Your history speaks on your behalf. Respect grows naturally when trust becomes associated with your presence, and your worth is understood through the steady alignment between what you promise and what you consistently deliver. Valuing your own time is a powerful behavior that quietly teaches others how much you value yourself. Time is the one resource that cannot be replaced or recovered. Once it is gone, when you treat your time with respect, people begin to recognize its importance as well. The way you manage your availability, attention, and priorities communicates your self-worth more clearly than words ever could. Many people unknowingly lower their perceived value by treating their time as endlessly available, constantly rearranging schedules for others, responding instantly to every request, or allowing interruptions to control your day sends an unintended message that your time carries little importance. While generosity and kindness are admirable qualities, unlimited accessibility often leads to being taken for granted rather than appreciated. Valuing your time begins with understanding that your life has priorities. Personal goals, rest, learning, family responsibilities, and self-care all require intentional space. When you protect time for these areas, you demonstrate that your well-being matters. This does not mean ignoring others. It means creating balance so that helping people does not come at the expense of your own growth or peace. Punctuality is one of the simplest yet strongest expressions of time respect. Arriving on time shows discipline, reliability, and consideration. Nay, it communicates that you honor commitments and respect both your schedule and the schedules of others. Consistently being late or allowing delays without concern often weakens how seriously others view your presence. Another important aspect is learning to pause before agreeing to demands on your time. Many individuals say yes automatically because they fear disappointing others. However, thoughtful responses show maturity. Taking a moment to evaluate whether a request aligns with your priorities demonstrates that your time is managed intentionally rather than ability. Demonstrates that your time is managed intentionally rather than emotionally. People gradually learn that your availability is meaningful because it is not given. Avoiding unnecessary explanations is also part of valuing your time. Long justifications for simple decisions often stem from a desire for approval. When you confidently say, "I'm not available," without excessive detail, you communicate self-respect. Clear responses eliminate confusion and prevent others from negotiating your boundaries. Technology has made people more accessible than ever, which can blur personal limits. Constant notifications, messages, and social expectations create pressure to respond immediately. Valuing your time means understanding that instant replies are not always necessary. Allowing yourself space to focus, think, or rest without interruption reinforces the idea that your attention is valuable. People naturally respect individuals who appear purposeful with their time. When others notice that you prioritize meaningful activities, maintain focus during conversations, and avoid wasting energy on unnecessary drama, they begin to treat interactions with you more seriously. Your presence feels intentional rather than casual. Valuing time also involves recognizing when to leave situations that no longer serve growth or peace. Staying too long in unproductive conversations, toxic environments, or repetitive conflicts drains energy. Choosing to step away respectfully shows emotional intelligence. You demonstrate that your life is guided by purpose rather than obligation. Self-respect grows when you invest time in personal development, reading, learning new skills, exercising, reflecting, or strengthening spiritual connection. sends a silent message that you consider yourself worth investing in. Others often mirror this perception, recognizing dedication and discipline without needing verbal reminders. It is equally important to understand that rest is not wasted time. Many people feel guilty for slowing down, believing productivity must be constant. However, valuing your time includes protecting moments of recovery. Rest renews energy, improves clarity, and strengthens emotional balance. When you respect your need for rest, you prevent burnout and maintain long-term effectiveness. Respecting your time also influences how conversations unfold. Listening attentively without multitasking shows presence, while ending discussions politely when they become unproductive maintains boundaries. People notice when you engage fully yet remain mindful of limits. This balance creates interactions that feel meaningful rather than exhausting. Financial professionals often link time with value because time represents effort, experience, and expertise. The same principle applies personally. When you treat your time as valuable, others begin to understand that access to your attention is meaningful. Opportunities, collaborations, and relationships often improve when people recognize that your schedule reflects intention and purpose. Valuing time requires discipline, especially when distractions appear attractive. Social media scrolling, unnecessary comparisons, or prolonged procrastination quietly reduce self-respect. Choosing purposeful action over momentary distraction reinforces self-control. Each decision to focus rather than drift strengthens personal confidence. Over time, managing your time well creates a calm sense of control over life. Instead of feeling rushed, overwhelmed, or reactive, you become deliberate in your actions. This calm presence influences how others perceive you. People often associate time awareness with competence, maturity, and leadership qualities. When you consistently respect your own time, you no longer chase validation through constant availability. Your interactions become more intentional, your commitments more meaningful, and your energy more focused. Without demanding recognition, you teach others that your time carries value, and they begin approaching you with greater respect, mindfulness, and appreciation for the moments you choose to share with them. Speaking less and acting more is a quiet but powerful behavior that naturally teaches people your worth. In a world filled with constant noise, opinions, and the urge to explain everything, restraint often stands out more than excessive expression. When a person does not feel the need to prove themselves through endless words, they project confidence, emotional control, and inner stability. Many people believe that respect comes from talking more, defending themselves constantly, or explaining every decision in detail. However, true confidence often appears calm and measured. Individuals who choose their words carefully show that they value clarity over attention. Silence, when intentional, communicates self-assurance because it reflects comfort with oneself rather than dependence on external validation. Speaking less does not mean being distant or unfriendly. It means understanding that not every thought requires expression and not every situation demands a response. When you avoid reacting impulsively, you create space for thoughtful action. This pause allows emotions to settle and wisdom to guide behavior instead of temporary feelings. People naturally observe actions more than words. Promises, opinions, and declarations may sound impressive, but consistent behavior leaves a lasting impression. When your actions align with your values, you eliminate the need to convince others of your character. Quiet reliability speaks louder than repeated explanation. Oversharing often reduces personal mystery and emotional safety. When individuals reveal every plan, struggle, or achievement prematurely, they may invite unnecessary opinions or criticism. Speaking less encourages privacy, allowing growth to happen without outside pressure. Protecting certain parts of your life creates emotional boundaries that strengthen self-respect. Listening becomes stronger when speaking decreases. People feel valued when they are truly heard, and attentive listening builds deeper connections. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, you begin to understand others more clearly. This quality naturally attracts respect because it reflects patience and emotional intelligence. Acting more than speaking also prevents unnecessary conflict. Many disagreements grow because of impulsive words spoken in moments of frustration. Choosing silence when emotions rise allows dignity to remain intact. Responding calmly rather than reacting immediately shows strength of character and emotional maturity. Confidence often reveals itself through calm behavior rather than loud self-promotion. Individuals who constantly seek recognition may unintentionally signal insecurity. In contrast, those who focus on meaningful action allow results to represent them. Achievements demonstrated quietly often earn deeper admiration because they feel authentic rather than performative. Speaking less also helps maintain focus. Speaking less also helps maintain focus. Excessive talking about goals can create a false sense of accomplishment without real progress. When energy is directed toward action instead of discussion, productivity increases. Progress becomes visible through results rather than intentions. Another powerful aspect of quiet action is emotional control. Not reacting to every comment, criticism, or provocation shows inner strength. Silence in certain moments communicates that your peace matters more than winning arguments. People quickly recognize when someone refuses to engage in negativity, and this restraint elevates respect. Choosing thoughtful speech improves communication quality. Words become more impactful when they are not overused. When you speak after listening carefully, people tend to pay closer attention because your voice carries intention. The fewer unnecessary words you use, the more weight your meaningful word to hold. Speaking less also protects personal energy. Conversations filled with gossip, complaints, or constant explanations can drain emotional strength. Limiting participation in such exchanges preserves mental clarity. This shift allows you to invest energy into actions that contribute to growth and purpose. Quiet confidence often inspires curiosity. When you do not reveal everything immediately, people become more attentive to your presence. Mystery encourages respect because others sense depth beneath calm behavior. Instead of demanding attention, you naturally attract it through composure and authenticity. Acting more than speaking encourages accountability. Actions cannot hide behind excuses or impressive language. When you focus on doing rather than announcing, you build credibility over time. Others learn that your commitments are genuine because they consistently witness results. This behavior also reduces the need for external approval. Constant talking sometimes comes from a desire to be understood or praised. When you rely on action instead, satisfaction begins to come from personal progress rather than public recognition. Inner validation strengthens independence and emotional stability. Silence can also be an expression of wisdom. Knowing when not to speak requires awareness and discipline. Not every misunderstanding needs correction, and not every opinion deserves response. Choosing where to invest your voice reflects maturity and self-control. Over time, people begin to associate your presence with calm authority. You become someone whose actions carry meaning, whose words are thoughtful, and whose behavior reflects consistency. Without demanding attention or asserting superiority, you demonstrate confidence through restraint and purposeful action, allowing others to understand your worth through observation rather than persuasion. Walking away. Pray hard, pray with conviction, with one of the clearest and most powerful ways to teach people your worth without speaking a single word. Many individuals tolerate behavior that hurts their dignity because they fear conflict, loneliness, or misunderstanding. However, allowing repeated disrespect slowly weakens self-confidence and creates relationships built on imbalance rather than mutual appreciation. Choosing to step away from situations that diminish your value reflects emotional strength and deep self-respect. Disrespect does not always appear loudly or aggressively. Sometimes it shows itself through sarcasm, constant criticism, broken promises, dismissive attitudes, or a lack of consideration for your feelings. These behaviors may seem small individually, but over time they erode emotional well-being. Recognizing these patterns requires awareness and honesty with yourself. When you acknowledge that certain interactions leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, or uncomfortable, you begin to understand that change is necessary. Many people attempt to earn respect by arguing, explaining, or defending themselves repeatedly. While communication is important, constant justification often leads to emotional exhaustion. Respect cannot be forced through debate. It is demonstrated through standards. When you calmly refuse to participate in disrespectful behavior, you send a powerful message that your dignity is not negotiable. Walking away does not mean reacting with anger or revenge. True strength lies in calm detachment. Instead of escalating conflict, you choose peace over proving a point. This decision reflects emotional maturity because it shows that your priority is inner stability rather than external validation. Silence and distance often communicate more effectively than confrontation. One of the greatest fears people face when setting these boundaries, losing relationships. The idea of separation can feel uncomfortable, especially when emotional investment already exists, yet remaining in environments where respect is absent slowly damages self-worth. Walking away creates space for healthier connections and protects emotional balance. It allows you to choose relationships that nourish rather than diminish your spirit. Respecting yourself teaches others how to treat you. When individuals notice that you do not tolerate insults, manipulation, or consistent negativity, they begin to understand your standards. People often adjust their behavior when they realize access to your presence depends on mutual respect. Those unwilling to change reveal that they valued convenience more than connection. Walking away also prevents resentment from building. Staying in disrespectful situations often leads to suppressed frustration that eventually surfaces as anger or bitterness. The respect frustration that eventually surfaces as anger or bitterness. By choosing distance early, you protect both your emotional health and the possibility of maintaining dignity within the relationship. Sometimes stepping back allows space for reflection and healthier interaction later. Emotional independence plays a significant role in this behavior. When your sense of worth does not depend entirely on others' approval, it becomes easier to remove yourself from harmful dynamics. You begin to understand that peace is more valuable than constant acceptance. Confidence grows when you realize that being alone temporarily is healthier than being surrounded by disrespect. This choice also strengthens personal boundaries. Each time you walk away from negativity, you reinforce the belief that you deserve kindness and fairness. Over time, this belief becomes internalized, shaping future decisions. You become less likely to tolerate unhealthy treatment because your standards have become clear to yourself first. Walking away is not always physical distance. Sometimes it is emotional withdrawal. It may involve reducing engagement, limiting personal sharing, or choosing not to react to provocation. These subtle actions maintain dignity while preventing unnecessary conflict. You conserve emotional energy instead of investing it where appreciation is absent. There is courage in choosing self-respect over comfort. Familiar environments can feel safe even when they are unhealthy. Change requires bravery because it involves uncertainty. Yet growth often begins when you stop accepting what harms your peace. Each step away from disrespect becomes a step toward personal freedom. People who respect themselves attract healthier interactions naturally. Confidence formed through self-respect becomes visible in posture, tone, and decision making. Others sense when someone values their own dignity, and this perception influences how they behave in response. Respect becomes a natural outcome rather than a demand. Walking away also demonstrates emotional control. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. You refuse to allow others' behavior to dictate your peace. This calm strength often leaves a lasting impression because it shows self-mastery rather than emotional dependency. Over time, this behavior reshapes your environment. You begin surrounding yourself with individuals who appreciate honesty, kindness, and mutual understanding. Relationships become more balanced because they are built on respect rather than tolerance. Without needing to argue or seek validation, you communicate your worth through the quiet decision to protect your dignity and choose environments where respect exists naturally. Investing in self-growth is one of the most powerful ways to silently communicate your worth to the world. When you consistently work on improving your mindset, skills, character, and emotional strength, people naturally recognize that you value yourself. Growth-focused individuals do not rely on external praise to feel important. Their confidence develops from continuous personal development. Self-growth begins with the decision to take responsibility for your life. Instead of blaming circumstances or waiting for perfect conditions, you focus on what you can improve each day. This mindset shift changes how you approach challenges. Difficulties become opportunities for learning rather than reasons to quit. Others notice this resilience because it reflects strength and maturity. Personal growth is not limited to career success or academic achievement. It includes emotional intelligence, patience, discipline, communication skills, and self-awareness. When you actively work on understanding your reactions, managing emotions, and improving behavior, you become easier to respect and trust. Growth transforms not only what you achieve, but also how you interact with people. Learning consistently is a strong signal of self-value. Reading, gaining new skills, seeking knowledge, and expanding perspectives so that you believe you are worth investing time and effort into. People who dedicate themselves to learning often develop confidence naturally because knowledge reduces insecurity and increases clarity in decision making. Self-growth also involves recognizing weaknesses without shame. Honest self-reflection allows you to identify habits or patterns that limit progress. Instead of denying flaws, you choose improvement. This humility combined with effort creates genuine confidence. Others often admire individuals who evolve rather than pretend to be perfect. Discipline plays an essential role in personal development. Growth rarely happens through motivation alone. It requires consistent action even when enthusiasm fades. Maintaining routines, setting goals, and following through on commitments strengthens self-control. Discipline demonstrates seriousness about life, and people tend to respect those who show dedication to improvement. Investing in physical and mental well-being is another aspect of self-growth. Taking care of health through exercise, proper rest, and mindful habits communicates self-respect. When you prioritize well-being, you show that your energy and presence matter. This commitment influences how others perceive your confidence and vitality. Growth-oriented individuals also learn from failure instead of fearing it. Mistakes become teachers rather than sources of embarrassment. Each setback offers lessons that refine judgment and strengthen resilience. People often respect those who rise after challenges because perseverance reflects inner strength. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is part of intentional growth. Choosing environments that encourage learning, creativity, and kindness supports personal evolution. When you seek conversations that inspire rather than drain, you demonstrate awareness of your emotional and intellectual needs. Your circle gradually reflects your standards. Self-growth requires patience because meaningful change happens gradually. Many people seek instant transformation, but lasting improvement develops through consistent small actions. When you remain committed despite slow progress, you build inner stability. Others observe this persistence and associate it with reliability and determination. Another important element is setting personal goals. Clear direction gives purpose to daily effort. Goals do not need to be public announcements. Quiet ambition often produces stronger results. Working steadily toward improvement without constant validation shows independence and focus. As you grow, confidence becomes more natural and less dependent on comparison. Instead of competing with others, you measure progress against your past self. This internal focus reduces insecurity and creates genuine self-assurance. People are drawn to individuals who exhibit calm confidence rooted in personal progress rather than external approval. Investing in self-growth also changes how you respond to challenges in relationships. You become more patient, understanding, and emotionally balanced. Growth strengthens communication and empathy, allowing healthier connections to form. Respect deepens because others experience consistency and maturity in your behavior. Over time, personal development creates quiet influence. Without boasting or seeking recognition, your actions inspire others. People observe dedication, discipline, and improvement, often feeling motivated by your example. Growth becomes contagious because it reflects possibility rather than perfection. When you continuously invest in yourself, you send a clear message that your life has purpose and direction. Your time, energy, and attention are focused on becoming better rather than remaining stagnant, This steady commitment shapes how others see you, allowing your worth to be understood through progress, effort, and the visible transformation created by ongoing self-improvement.